All right, so today we're going to be looking into this malware. What is it called? Playful Ghost.
Playful Ghost.
Playful Ghost, and we've got this Forbes article. Have you had a chance to look at this one?
Yeah, I took a look. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it's kind of unsettling, right? Thinking that, like, even when you're taking precautions like VPNs, there's still vulnerabilities out there.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's what's interesting about this one is Playful Ghost, it's not like a brand new thing.
Oh, really?
It's actually based on older malware
Uh-huh.
called Ghost.
Okay.
And Ghost was actually mainly used to target gamers back in 2008,
Oh, wow.
stealing their credentials and things like that.
So this is like a new spin on an old classic, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of a new twist.
Right.
And you see, the original Ghost it was mostly about, trying to just disrupt and things like that.
Yeah.
But now this one, it seems like you're going after a much wider audience.
So it's not just like some script kiddie messing around. This is like targeted. And it sounds like the stakes are a lot higher than just losing your gaming account.
Exactly, yeah. And basically what Playful Ghost does is it acts as a backdoor,
Okay.
allowing attackers to remotely control your device.
Oh, wow.
So think like key logging,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that they can capture everything you type,
Oh, God.
including like passwords, financial information.
Yeah.
But it even goes beyond that.
Oh, no.
They can also capture your screen,
Uh,
record audio,
real?
access your files,
Yeah.
and even execute commands.
So it's basically like giving them the keys to your digital kingdom.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's a little creepy. You think you're safe browsing, maybe using a VPN for a little extra privacy, and suddenly you've got a ghost in the machine watching your every move.
Yeah, that's what's concerning about this. The Forbes article highlights how the rise in VPN usage is actually creating more opportunities
Oh, really?
for Playful Ghost to spread.
Why is that?
Well, they talk about how, a lot of these age verification laws, especially on sites like Pornhub,
Okay, yeah. Or pushing people towards VPNs.
you're trying to protect your privacy in one way,
Yeah.
and you might be making yourself more vulnerable to this kind of attack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ironic.
It is. It is kind of ironic. And they talk about two main methods of infection: phishing emails and something called SEO poisoning.
Okay, so phishing I'm familiar with. That's just where they trick you into downloading something, right?
Right. Disguised as something legitimate.
Okay.
This SEO poisoning, though, that's a little more insidious.
I'm not familiar with that one. How does that even work?
So imagine you're searching for a VPN.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because you need to access a site that's now age restricted.
Right,
You
right.
do a Google search.
Yeah,
And at the top of the results page
yeah.
is a link that looks completely legitimate.
Okay.
It might even be a well-known VPN provider.
So you click on it thinking you're getting a good deal on a reputable VPN.
Exactly.
Okay.
But that pop search result has been manipulated.
Oh.
So it's been poisoned by the attackers. So instead of downloading the real VPN software,
Oh.
you end up downloading Playful Ghost, bundled along with it.
Oh, gosh. You think you're getting extra protection, but you're actually inviting the malware right into your system.
Yeah,
That's pretty scary.
yeah, it is. And it highlights how attackers are becoming more sophisticated in their methods, exploiting trends and vulnerabilities.
Okay, I'm starting to see why this is such a big deal. So we've talked about how it works, how it spreads, but let's get to what everyone's really wondering. How do we protect ourselves from this thing?
Yeah, so the first line of defense is really awareness.
Okay.
Understanding how these attacks work is crucial.
Yeah.
But it's not just about being cautious. There are actually specific steps you can take
Let's hear them.
to mitigate the risk. So, for starters, always double-check the URLs of any websites you visit,
Okay.
especially if you're downloading software.
Where?
Even a slight misspelling could indicate a fake site set up to distribute malware.
So it's not just about avoiding suspicious links, it's like scrutinizing even the ones that look legit.
Exactly, yeah. And of course, download software only from official sources.
Right.
If you're looking for a VPN, go directly to the provider's website.
Got it. So vigilance is key. But it sounds like there's more to it than just being careful about where you click and what you download. What else can we do to bolster our defenses? So we've talked about being cautious with links and downloads, but is there anything else we can do to protect ourselves from Playful Ghost? I mean, this Forbes article makes it seem like it can sneak in even when you're trying to be careful.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just about avoiding those shady websites anymore. Attackers are getting smarter, and they're taking advantage of our desire for privacy.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
take these age verification laws, for example.
Yeah, I mean, On the one hand, I understand the intent, like they're trying to protect minors,
Right.
but on the other hand, it feels like a little bit of an overreach, you know? And it's definitely pushing people towards VPNs, even if they weren't using one before.
Exactly, and that's what these Playful Ghost developers are banking on. More people rushing to get VPNs, especially if they're not that tech savvy, means a larger pool of potential victims.
I'm starting to see how this all ties together. It's like this perfect storm of circumstances creating a breeding ground for malware.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And that's why it's so important to not just react to these threats,
Hmm.
but to really understand these underlying dynamics at play.
So what's the solution here? I mean, it sounds like even legitimate VPNs can have vulnerabilities. Are we just supposed to accept that we're all at risk?
Well, accepting defeat isn't really a solution, is it? The key here is to move beyond that basic level of awareness and get proactive.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Proactive protection. What does that look like in practice?
Well, for one, understand that your operating system and all of your software, including your VPN, needs regular updates.
Right.
Those updates often include crucial security patches that fix the very vulnerabilities malware, like Playful Ghost exploits.
Okay, I gotta admit, I'm guilty of ignoring those update notifications sometimes. It
Yeah.
always seems like they come at the worst possible moment, but you're saying that they're essential.
Think of it this way. It's like locking your doors and windows.
Right.
Might be a slight inconvenience,
Yeah.
but it dramatically reduces your risk of being burglarized.
Okay, that's a good analogy. So I need to get better about those updates, not just for my computer, but for my VPN too. But what if my VPN has a vulnerability that hasn't been patched yet? Like, remember that Sonic Wall issue they mentioned in the article?
That's a great point, and it brings us to another layer of proactive protection, strong passwords.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about using a capital letter and a number.
You mean a password manager, right?
Yeah,
I've been hearing about those, but I've never actually taken the plunge.
you should, and here's why. Password managers create and store strong, unique passwords for all of your accounts.
Oh.
This means that even if a vulnerability is exploited and someone gets access to one of your accounts,
Right.
the damage is limited because they won't have access to everything.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like compartmentalizing your risk. So strong passwords are essential, and a password manager can help with that. But is there anything else we can do to minimize those vulnerabilities?
There is, and this is where two-factor authentication comes in.
Okay.
Enabling this feature on your accounts adds an extra layer of security by requiring a code from your phone or email in addition to your password.
So even if someone gets their hands on your password, they still can't access your account without that second factor.
Exactly. It's like having a double lock on your door. Makes it that much harder for attackers to break in.
Okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. Updates, strong passwords, two-factor authentication. It's all about adding those extra layers of security to make it as difficult as possible for the bad guys to get in.
Yeah, you're getting it. And this brings us to a broader point, which is the importance of a critical mindset.
You mean not just blindly trusting everything we see online?
Right. Be skeptical, be curious, and be willing to question assumptions.
So in the context of VPNs, this means not just assuming that any VPN will automatically make you safe.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about researching VPN providers, understanding their security practices, and being aware of potential vulnerabilities.
It sounds like we need to be our own digital detectives, constantly investigating and evaluating the tools we use.
And that brings us to a really interesting question. With all these risks and vulnerabilities, is it even worth using a VPN anymore?
Yeah, that's something I've been wondering too. I mean, we've talked about how they can be a potential entry point for malware, but we haven't really talked about the benefits.
Well, VPNs can still be a valuable tool for enhancing your privacy and security, especially when you're using public Wi-Fi or accessing content that might be restricted in your region.
So it's not about demonizing VPNs altogether. It's about using them strategically
Right.
and understanding the trade-offs involved.
Absolutely. It's about weighing the risks and benefits and making informed choices based on your individual needs and circumstances.
This whole conversation has been a real eye-opener for me. It's made me realize that online security isn't just about installing some antivirus software and calling it a day. It's an ongoing process of awareness, education, and critical thinking.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's a dynamic process, and we need to evolve our thinking and our practices as the digital landscape changes around us.
Speaking of evolving, we've been focusing a lot on the practical aspects of protecting ourselves from Playful Ghost and other threats. But I'm also curious about the bigger picture. What are the ethical implications of all of this? I mean, this whole situation with age verification laws and the rise of VPN usage raises some interesting questions about privacy and freedom of access.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
And I think it's a conversation worth having.
So why don't we take a quick breather
Yeah.
and then come back for the final part of this deep dive, where we'll explore those ethical considerations in more detail.
Sounds good to me. Looking forward to diving into those deeper questions.
Until then, dear listener, keep those updates rolling and stay curious. All right, so welcome back. We just spent some time talking about this Playfulghost malware, VPNs, and trying to protect ourselves in this crazy digital landscape. But I want to shift gears a bit now, and like we touched on earlier, think about some of the bigger ethical questions.
Yeah, I think that's a crucial part of any discussion about tech,
All
right?
right.
Because it's rarely just about the tech itself.
Exactly.
It's about how we use it and the impact it has, not just on individuals, but society as a whole.
Like these age verification laws, right?
Yeah.
I mean, on the surface, okay, the intention is to protect minors.
Right.
But then it raises all these other questions, like who gets to decide what's harmful? Where's the line between, protection and censorship? It gets really murky.
And it's not just a theoretical debate either, right?
Okay.
Because as we've seen, these laws, they can have unintended consequences.
Yeah.
Like pushing people towards VPNs.
Right.
Which then, ironically, can make them more vulnerable to things like Playfulghost.
Exactly.
It's a really complex web of issues.
It is. It is. It makes you wonder, where does the responsibility lie? Like, is it on individuals to just be super vigilant and tech savvy? Or do tech companies and governments have like a greater obligation to try and create a safer digital environment for everybody?
It's not really an either-or situation, is it? It's like a shared responsibility.
Right, right.
Individuals definitely need to be aware of the risks. And like we talked about, take those precautions.
Yeah.
But tech companies also have a huge role to play here
Yeah.
in terms of, one, building secure software, but also educating users about those potential vulnerabilities.
And what about governments? I mean, they're kind of the ones setting the rules of the game, right?
Absolutely. They need to be thinking about how do we strike that balance between protecting citizens, especially, those more vulnerable groups, while also upholding rights like privacy and freedom of access to information.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's a tightrope walk for sure.
It feels like we're in this constant cat and mouse game. Like, as technology gets more advanced, so do the threats. And the ethical questions just get, more and more complex. It's overwhelming, honestly. What can we do as just everyday people trying to navigate all of this?
I think it starts with, like we said, that awareness
Mhm.
and education, right?
Mhm.
Understanding the issues is like step one. Then being proactive,
Mm.
taking those practical steps to protect ourselves.
Okay.
Like we talked about, using strong passwords, keeping your software up to date, all those things.
Not being afraid to ask questions either, right?
Absolutely. If something online seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Develop that healthy skepticism. Question those assumptions.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to dig a little deeper.
Right. And I think it's also about remembering that for all the risks, the internet is a powerful tool for good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, think about it. It's connected people across the globe, facilitated learning and creativity. It's even helped to spark real social change in some cases.
Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in all the doom and gloom of, cybersecurity threats.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember the positive aspects, too.
Absolutely. I think it's about finding that balance.
Right.
Being aware of the risks, taking steps to mitigate them, but also still embracing those opportunities that technology offers.
Well said, yeah. It's about being, I think, an informed, empowered, and engaged digital citizen.
So as we wrap up this whole deep dive into Playfulghost and VPNs and all the ethical stuff,
Yeah.
what's the one key takeaway that you hope people listening will remember?
I think the most important thing is that sense of agency.
Mm.
The digital world can feel so vast
Yeah.
and complex,
Yeah.
but we're not powerless.
Right.
By understanding the issues, taking those precautions, and having these conversations like we're having now, we can actually shape a safer, more ethical, and more empowering digital future for everybody.
Yeah. Knowledge is power, right? The more we understand, the better equipped we'll be to kind of navigate it all safely and responsibly. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. And until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and keep exploring.